Hello and welcome back to In Defense of a Movie Podcast, and it's time for some jury duty.
What's up, Dan?
My name's Dan. Joining me as always is Aaron. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm good. How are you?
I am sweating. I am too warm. This heat wave is getting the best of me.
That sounds hot. Like literally hot.
literally hot. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our format, our jury duty episodes are episodes where we focus on current releases and select movie news. Usually the current releases are like the big Hollywood releases, but nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
Sometimes we ramble, sometimes we meander. We basically talk about whatever's interesting to us at the time. So if you're wondering why this is called jury duty, it's just a play on our whole in defense of, our very, very, very loose theming of like courtroom, whatever. I don't know.
Literally the only things that had to do with anything like court-wise. Otherwise, nothing.
Yeah, I think at the start we thought of like developing that further, but it just seemed kind of unnecessary.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we are making a case defending these movies. So that's kind of like, like we're like the movies are our clients and we're representing them and defending them in the court of movie ratings.
Yeah, true. We just don't throw around like closing arguments, rebuttals, and shit like that. We kind of that's just what the podcast is called, man. And we've been rolling with it since 2019. So
I would love to have a gavel.
Okay.
Just like hit that thing nonstop.
That totally wouldn't be annoying. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So if you're just discovering us through YouTube or whatever, because we're trying to widen our reach a bit, that's the way the show goes. So today, it's jury duty. And on this jury duty, we got some pretty heavy-hitting movies, Aaron. We are in the summer blockbuster season. Yep. We just did our two-parter Summer Movie Madness, and this is kind of a spiritual successor to that conversation because the hits just keep coming. Big movies. And by the time this drops, Junior will finally be out. I'm really excited. We've been on a bit of a roll
it's just like 2 months in the making there, but hey, we got it to you guys.
Yeah, we got it. I'm hoping that'll be out. Junior will be out before this, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that episode. It's one for the ages for sure. That movie's insane. So,
Dan, before we get into it, did you buy your tickets for the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, in IMAX? Because they are available 1 year in advance to purchase.
Yes. So I didn't. There is one, as I mentioned in a previous jury duty episode, there's one IMAX location in the entire greater Vancouver area that offers the 70 millimeter format in its proper aspect ratio, because the theater near me, as I mentioned, the IMAX isn't formatted for 70 mil. It's actually a smaller screen. So the one theater serving like 2 or 3 million people is sold out, except for like the front 2 rows for the foreseeable, like the first week of release. So I don't know when exactly it opened up, but even the show times, they were
literally
at like 2
today.
o'clock. Yeah, they're all gone. It's all gone unless you want to see it, staring straight up at it. And that's not what I'm about.
I did purchase some tickets. They weren't quite as bad as the first row, but they were definitely like the back of the first few rows. So,
okay.
Yeah, one year in advance.
Sounds to me like I'm gonna have to come pay you a visit 1 year from now.
Hey, I did buy 2 tickets, and I do not have a second person for that ticket. So.
Oh, hell yeah. You heard it here first, people. What do you think the popcorn bucket for the Odyssey looks like? Is it just like a Cyclops head or something?
Oh, I don't know. To be honest, I'm trying to, from all the little trailers and everything, I can't guess the tone of this movie at all.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? I can never say his last name. John Berthal.
Yeah.
And he has like a speaking voice, and I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, I think like he's a terrific actor, especially the roles he picks, because I think he knows what his niche is and he goes for it. Because every role that I've seen him in, and he kind of plays that kind of little bit of a crazy, like unhinged dude, and he kills it every single time. But I don't know, for some reason, hearing him talk in the trailer, is it just me, or did you kind of think like, this is kind of, he seems kind of out of place here? But
he does.
I mean, it's Christopher Nolan, so I'm not going to say too much because he's one of the best currently. I have faith in him, and I'd be curious to see what ends up happening. Also, I don't trust trailers.
Oh, I know, especially a year in advance. Like, who knows if that clip will even be in the movie, right?
Yeah, they probably just got that out because they want to do tickets like a year in advance, and you got to have something, right?
Exactly. That might be take 1 of 6 as far as we know. Like, it's hard. It's impossible to say. I will say this. Christopher Nolan trailers, in my opinion, have always been historically awful. I don't think there's one good Christopher Nolan trailer. But he's not really a filmmaker that relies on trailers, just because the topics he tackles and the intrigue behind him as a filmmaker is so large that he barely needs them. But if you go back in time and watch any of his movie trailers, they're typically like a weird voiceover, some unrelated images. He kind of advertises the tone of his movies less than he does what they're actually about. Aaron, this is the first time that I'm aware of that you can purchase tickets for a movie a year in advance.
Yeah, me too. That's why I brought it up, because I thought it was pretty interesting.
You sly guy, that wasn't even in our notes. But no, it's crazy. I wonder what other directors could pull that off. I don't even think James Cameron in his wildest dreams could do that with Avatar. Like, this is truly a historical moment. I'm really curious to see what other movie or movies will hitch their star to this Odyssey movie to try to recreate the Barbenheimer thing. Because
I'm very curious too. I think, you know what I like? I think as far as director goes, or like filmmakers or whatever you want to call them, I think Christopher Nolan is at the top. Like I remember like just reading about like the highest rated IMDb like movies, and I think out of the top 50, Christopher Nolan has like, I think all of the Batmans are in it. He has the most highest rated movies in the like top 50 of like all the directors. So currently we're not saying too much because, obviously he's alive and he's still kicking and, making movies and everything. But, I'd argue that, if he's not number 1, he's for sure like number 2 or number 3.
Yeah. Who would you say is your favorite working director right now?
I would say it's probably Christopher Nolan. I think, what's his name? Denis Villeneuve. I can never say his last name.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve. Yes, he's a close second as well, because for me, he's a little bit more under the radar, but every single movie I've seen of his has been phenomenal and has been like... there's movies that come out that you're like, wow, that was a good movie. And then there's movies that come out that like literally change you as a person because they're that impactful. And I would say like him and Christopher Nolan are up there for me. What about you?
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve is far and away my favorite working director right now. I have sincerely loved every single movie I've seen of his, even back to his like indie films. I just think he's incredibly talented and gifted. My only concern with him is that he seems to have kind of got caught up in like never-ending intellectual property land. He did the Blade Runner sequel, which was very divisive. I love it. I own it. But a lot of people didn't love it. Now Dune, and then after this, he's doing 2 more like book adaptations, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was another intellectual property that he was tackling. So obviously Christopher Nolan has done his fair share. Even Oppenheimer is based on a book, so obviously Homer's Odyssey, right? But I just feel like Christopher Nolan kind of is like a blank check filmmaker where he can do whatever he wants at this point, whereas Denis Villeneuve seems to be still playing within the... Hollywood landscape.
Did you hear that he is going to be directing the new James Bond movie?
That's the one I was thinking of. Yes, that's huge. Exactly.
So that is huge, and because like there is a lot of speculation that it might go to Christopher Nolan, but like obviously he's busy with the Odyssey. So so it's like this is honestly in my mind the next best actor if it wasn't, director if it wasn't Christopher Nolan, right?
It is, but I don't think it's a very good fit, especially because he doesn't get final edit. So I feel like he's kind of just being pegged as man of the hour. But I think Christopher Nolan is a way better fit for James Bond than Denis Villeneuve.
I would say so too, but I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, just seeing his previous work, right?
Yeah, but it's under Amazon's leadership, and I'm very skeptical. I wish Denis Villeneuve would just make something original, like Enemies or Arrival, something fresh. But
the other director, sorry to segue here, but I would say Steven Spielberg is pretty high up there as well. Obviously, everybody knows that name. He's a household name, right?
Yeah.
With Steven Spielberg, the only thing with him is that as time passes, it's harder and harder to just like crank out bangers. And I think that's the thing is he's been around for so long that he kind of goes like a little bit, like people pass on him a little bit saying like, because he hasn't done anything iconic, in a while, right?
Yeah.
But like he is a terrific director. James Cameron is too, but James Cameron, I think, in my books, I think he just got a little too full of himself at one point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of James Cameron's movies kind of feel the same to me at this point. Yeah. Every single one of his third acts in his movies is always like a rescue.
Yeah.
I realized one day, I was like, how many movies does James Cameron have where the third act is literally just rescuing one of the characters? And once I realized that, it kind of messed with my head. But Aaron, speaking of Steven Spielberg, I want to mention this because you totally reminded me. Again, another random thing that's not in our notes. Next year, Steven Spielberg is releasing a movie tentatively called Disclosure.
Okay.
This movie was originally called The Disc. This movie is being described as his magnum opus of UFO films.
Okay.
And because a lot of congressional staffers and people have actually mentioned this movie specifically, there is a big rumor going around in UFO land that Steven Spielberg's Disclosure movie might actually be capital D Disclosure. There's rumors out there. There's rumors that he's been chosen, quote unquote, to officially disclose. And the way in which it might happen, this is unverified rumor, but I want to say it. There's rumors that this movie might actually even feature an actual real UFO in it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say alien, and I was like, hell yeah.
No. I don't know if this is true, but the chatter is real. And the movie, as of right now, is called straight up Disclosure. So from the director of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah. So yeah, if you were unfamiliar with that tidbit of news, it could be really exciting. But either way, we're getting a new Steven Spielberg science fiction movie. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Exciting.
Yeah, Aaron, speaking of Steven Spielberg movies, we need to talk about the Jurassic Park franchise.
Yes.
Specifically, Jurassic World, Rebirth.
On the island we're headed to, 24 species have survived there alone.
The theme park owners did experimental work, leaving only the worst ones here.
Don't see that every day, or ever.
Let's go.
If we get this DNA, millions of lives are saved.
Maybe we should make this quick, huh?
Survival is a long shot.
That's kind of our specialty.
She's scared. She's scared of.
Come on, run!
So, a little bit of a spoiler warning, I guess, if for any of those who haven't seen it. You're going to want to skip ahead a few minutes.
Don't spoil it. Do not spoil it. What's going on?
So what'd you think of it, Aaron?
I overall liked it. However, I found there was I had a few issues, I guess, with the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it was pretty good. It's just kind of, I think at this point, it's just almost like they're just kind of recycling ideas, at this point. And so it just seems like this movie was a combination of all the other Jurassic Parks kind of melded into one.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, even with that being said, I was still very entertained. I also thought they did a good job of making the dinosaurs actually like menacing and terrifying. They did a good job of creating suspense for the actors or like the people in the movie who are like running away from the dinosaurs and things like that. So like that's where I kind of say like I did like it, and it did make me feel a little bit nostalgic towards like the first couple of Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
I will say I 100% like this one way better than the Chris Pratt Jurassic World movies.
Yes.
What about you? What did you think?
Well, I'm a little bit split on it.
Yep.
I didn't love it,
Mhm.
but I mean, it was fine. I kind of felt the same way about this one as I did like Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Where I probably won't rewatch it, but I found it like unoffensive. It sits on Rotten Tomatoes at 52%, an audience score of 71%. And even that in itself kind of perfectly describes the Jurassic Park legacy of films. It's already made over $500 million. It's number 6 in 2025 at the worldwide box office. So, you know, people still love dinosaurs. This is such a funny franchise to me because it never really should have been a franchise, but every one of these movies crushes at the box office.
Yeah.
And it felt very safe and fine to me. It didn't really feel that remarkable.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like they were kind of trying to get the genie back in the bottle in terms of the, the dinosaurs got carried away in the last trilogy. And now this feels a little more stripped down, back to basics, get boots on ground on the island. And I thought it was okay. I mean, lots of glaring issues, but at the end of the day, it's dinosaurs. Aaron, how would you briefly describe, like, what would be your synopsis for this film?
Jurassic Park Rebirth, it's about, what is it about? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. Okay, I got it. It's got a, like, pharmaceutical company that wants to go to this island where they were originally doing experiments on dinosaurs, and they were doing some, like, DNA splicing, and they were just being, like, mad scientists creating just deformed and, like, grotesque dinosaurs that they shouldn't have been creating.
Yeah.
And eventually one gets loose, and it is like, I don't know how to explain this one dinosaur. Looks like it's got a giant tumor on its head running around.
It's not a tumor.
Yeah. And
the D-Rex.
Yeah, the D-Rex, like, who like you guys couldn't come up with a better like
yikes.
I would have preferred P-Rex. But anyways, I guess D is close enough. But so the pharmaceutical company, they want to go to this island to get DNA samples of this dinosaur to create a drug what is the drug? I want to say they created a drug to help prevent miscarriages, but that's Junior.
No, let's go with it. Yeah, they want to prevent miscarriages.
Yeah, they're trying to prevent something.
They want men to be able to give birth in their abdomen.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get this. Obviously, it's like the pharmaceutical guy that comes on is an a-hole, and he's just pretty much the villain of the movie.
Surprise, surprise.
There is definitely the classic cliche of like a family that gets sucked in and, somehow has to like help with getting off this island. And then you have your classic mercenaries who are, your classic mercenaries are usually like, they're just like run and gun type people, but they tried to make the mercenaries have a lot more heart, and like they tried to make you sympathetic towards the mercenaries. And let me know if you felt the same way, Dan, but I just had a hard time feeling like any sympathy for them,
Yeah.
Not only that, but it was just like kind of weird continuity errors, I guess, that kind of took me out of the movie. They're sitting there, and Scarlett Johansson's character, she's talking about how she's like broke. She's doing this like excursion to make a ton of money so that she can finally retire. And in my head, I'm kind of like,
one last job.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like you got other issues if you're a mercenary who's taking, and like at the beginning of the movie, they also kind of of like present her as this like highly touted mercenary that's like really good at getting the job done and well worth the price you pay for her. But then later in the movie, she's like, I don't have any money, and this is going to help me out lots. And you're just kind of like, okay, like, why don't you have money? What have you been doing? You're this highly sought after mercenary, but yet you need more money. I don't know. And that's what I mean. It was just kind of...
Maybe she has a super lavish lifestyle.
Yeah, I don't know. But like, it kind of drove me insane because you picked...
She lost her money betting on Triceratops races or something.
But I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. But the plot of the movie, when they get to the island, it's the fan. They're going nuts, and then they're just trying to escape. And long story short, eventually they do escape. Half of the people die, and then they also escape with the DNA samples, to which they decide, instead of selling them to, because the pharmaceutical guy that came on the trip, he died, and so there's no one that could take it from them, and they decided that they are just going to make it public to everybody so that everyone could have health.
Yeah. Open source male pregnancy.
Pretty much. Yeah, and that's what I mean. It was just kind of like, how do I put this? It didn't really focus on the characters. It didn't really focus on the storyline.
Yeah.
But it just kind of focused on the running away and like the thriller part of the dinosaurs, and which I was okay with.
Yeah. Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park movie, is one of my favorite movies of all time. So it's impossible for me to not compare it to all of that, and the quality of characters, the quality of writing, everything, right? The complexity, the moral issues, everything. It is not Jurassic Park, and I don't think we'll ever get another movie like Jurassic Park. But I want to be charitable with this movie because, for one, it's made $500 million. So obviously people like it. You don't need me to tell you whether you liked it or not. But some of the things I really liked about it, I like the stripped down approach. I like how it's back to the basics, running from dinosaurs on an island. I like that we've kind of gotten away from that, spectacle of it. I like the idea that they were doing research and genetic mutation, manipulation research on these animals at a different location. It made sense to me that it wasn't in the main park or near the main park. Obviously, they breed, they make the dinosaurs, see if they might be a viable attraction, and then they plop them down in the resort and watch the money come in. And I thought that was pretty clever. That was a pretty clever way to construct a conflict within the movie. I didn't like the product placement, but I did actually get a kick out of the Snickers bar wrapper because it was very much sort of a nod to Ian Malcolm's chaos theory view of everything, where essentially whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And just the idea that it was such a blatant and kind of silly thing that happened that kind of, lost this whole island. I just thought that was funny. A small little event can have a huge impact. And that's kind of one of the running tenets of these films, is how a tiny little mistake can just explode into a terrible problem. And there's this line, even in the first Jurassic Park, where John Hammond says to Dennis Nedry, he says something like, he's looking at his workstation, it's all covered in snacks and shit. And John Hammond says, the future's in your hands and you have Butterfingers? I feel like Gareth Edwards really tried to kind of draw a parallel to that, where it's like, you're going in to deal with like a genetically manipulated prehistoric animal, and you're eating a Snickers bar? Like, you're that used to this gig? You're that, like, you have no reverence for these animals and what you're doing, that you're literally just snacking down before going in? And then the hubris of that and the repercussions it has, that actually worked for me. I got a kick out of that. And I thought it was very much in line with the overall structure and arc of the films. So, like, stuff like that, I really, look at this, it's almost like a defensive episode, but I'm like, I really enjoyed a lot of that stuff. I enjoyed a lot of the nods. I liked the T-Rex river scene. That was straight out of the novel. It's nice that they finally got to that. Because, in that first book, that is a pretty intense scene. I liked that. I liked the CGI, the dinosaurs, everything looked fantastic. It was neat seeing them behave more like wild animals and less like slasher villains. I thought that was rad. So
let me ask you this, Stan. There is one thing that was driving me insane. And that is that this facility has been abandoned, like, you know, from the point that the D-Rex got loose, right? Yet they still have power and everything is like working perfectly.
Yeah.
And these are supposed to be dinosaurs that were developed prior to that movie, like before that, right?
Right.
And so it was things like that just kind of took me out of the movie, where I'm sitting there watching this movie. I'm like, okay, well, like, you know, keep in mind, I don't know anything about geothermal, and like maybe it can keep things running for 30 plus years. Yeah. But then they got to that scene where there's like a convenience store, where I'm also like, why the heck is there a convenience store at this like secret dinosaur testing facility, right? Yeah. And then not only that, but like all the products are like perfectly in there. That kind of drove me insane. And then
like, who's stocking it?
exactly. And like,
you have like a Loomis truck on the back of a cargo ship or something.
It was just like, and it didn't even look like it had been sitting. Yeah. Like, it looked like somebody was keeping up with it. And it's just kind of like, okay. And see, I don't think everybody is like this. I think it may be, you know, like a select few of us that things like that can take us out, because we kind of tend to think in like a logical way, where we're just like, you know, okay, this has been abandoned, and they make points to tell you that all these things, but then they put things in the movies that don't support that,
like the technology of the vehicles, the cars that are abandoned there.
Yeah. Okay. I was freaking out because I am a car guy. I'm by trade a mechanic, and I was going insane because when the pharmaceutical guy, he gets into the vehicle and drives away, it makes a sound of like a diesel truck, but yet it's like an EV plug-in, and I'm like, I was freaking out, like eternally freaking out at that part, because I'm like, that is not the correct sound for that vehicle. And
no, not at all.
It's just like little things like that kind of drove me insane. And don't get me wrong, like, no movie is going to be perfect and like have zero continuity errors in it or whatever, but like, there seem to be quite a few in this movie, and also big ones that were like jarring enough to take you out of it. Yeah. The most realistic thing out of everything was that boat at the end where they got stuck on the lift and they couldn't get it down. And I was like, okay, so like your boat, the chain hoist or whatever is stuck on the boat and like you can't get it down, but yet everything else in this facility is working perfectly. So
coming along.
So I don't know. It's kind of things like that. But like I said, if you just take this movie at face value for I want to call it like a dinosaur monster movie, almost like a dinosaur monster thriller movie, and you just kind of keep it in that lens, then I think it's like pretty okay.
I think the way I reconcile it is that Site B as being the research facility for the original Jurassic Park, and then this island, which I literally can't even remember. I just watched the bloody film, but this island was like the research facility for Jurassic World, where they made stuff like the Indominus Rex and stuff like that. Even then, though, like the technology timeline and just the fact that they weren't euthanizing these animals or doing something humane with them, you know, just kind of like letting them roam free. It seemed like a stretch just to like get more movies going. But to their credit, it's made over $500 million. So it's hard to, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, people just love this franchise and they love dinosaurs and they love the big budget spectacle of it all. It's not like we're getting other dinosaur movies. Like, there's a huge gulf between Jurassic Park and any other dinosaur movie. Like, anything else is like B-rate, whatever, right? Yeah. There's only one dinosaur franchise in town, and no one else dares go near it. So, like, did I love it? No, I didn't love it. It's not my favorite Jurassic Park movie, but it's not my least favorite. It's like right in the middle. It's the movie featuring dinosaurs. You know, it's full of conveniences. It's full of plot armor. I'm so sick of kids being in Jurassic Park movies. I don't know why that has to keep happening.
It's because kids love dinosaurs. And like, you need to have kids in the movie in order for like the kids who are seeing it in theater to like relate.
That's a really good point. This is funny. This bugs me. I rewatched Jurassic World before going into this one because I hadn't seen it in so long. Yeah. And I realized something about that movie that now is going to bug me forever, is that Jurassic World is a Christmas movie. At the very beginning,
Okay.
the kids are going to Jurassic World because it's Christmas.
Okay.
There's that opening where the birds in the snow, they're playing like jingly Christmas music, and off the kids go to Jurassic World. Now, here's what bugs me, Aaron, is that any theme park worth its salt is going to have Christmas decorations. They're going to have a big tree. They're going to have garland. They're going to have the lights, everything. Jurassic World has none of that.
Yeah.
And I can't unsee it now.
Dang. How dare they? They canceled Christmas.
They canceled Christmas in Jurassic World, and I've never put that together before.
Did you like Jurassic Rebirth better than the Jurassic World movies? Or would you rate
I
those?
actually, I actually did. Yeah, I actually did because I don't like the Jurassic World trilogy much at all. I think it's kind of terrible.
Yeah.
The dialogue, the writing, the acting, nothing really works for me. Especially the last two movies. I just think they're terrible. So yeah, no, I did. This was probably my third favorite Jurassic Park movie.
Okay.
I'd go with the original, Lost World, this one, and then Jurassic Park 3 behind this one. And then we get into Lost World.
Yeah.
Or then we get into, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I would honestly probably rate it about the same as you.
Yeah. Jurassic Park Lost World deserves another look. That's actually a decent film. It holds up pretty well.
What if they reboot the franchise and instead of, like, they reboot everything, but they make it, like, scientifically accurate to what dinosaurs... Because, you know, obviously since the first Jurassic Park movie came out, new information has been found out about dinosaurs, and apparently they were more along the lines of, like, a giant bird or whatever. And I think there's, like, a cute line in one of the Jurassic World movies where they're like, we made them look like this or whatever to, like... But, like, what if we just
super
get...
smart at the time.
Why don't we just get, like just a really accurate Jurassic Park movie, just like a giant, like, big chicken running around, being, like, menacing.
It's kind of funny that in 2025, we don't have a big budget, scientifically accurate dinosaur movie.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist. That is kind of strange, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
No one's done it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe they don't see the same value in, like, a big furry bird looking dinosaur. I don't even know what they would look like, but I mean,
terrifying.
Yeah. It does sound terrifying, but, like, also I just think, like, it's okay to mix it up, right?
Like, what if the T-Rex had a beak this whole time? How
Yeah.
frightening would that be?
I keep seeing a meme on the internet that's like, we don't actually know what dinosaurs look like. For all we know, they could look like this, and it's a dinosaur with pigtails. It's pretty funny.
All dinosaurs, it turns out they had human skin.
Yeah, just big old lips. Buck teeth.
Like hairdos and stuff.
Like just one emo looking dinosaur with hair covering one of his eyes. It's just, like, brooding the whole time.
We need to show dinosaurs some more respect, man. They're the OG denizens of this planet.
Yeah.
Maybe
everybody
that's why.
also always freaks out about, like, humanity and, like, what are we doing in this and that, and, like, I think we might be, like, such a like, one of the youngest creatures on this earth or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Well, would you recommend Jurassic?
I would.
World Rebirth?
I would. It's still, like, you got a family, you got kids, go out on whatever the cheap movie night is, get a bucket of popcorn, and it's still worth a watch. You're still going to be entertained.
Yeah.
Looking at Scarlett Johansson half the time isn't so bad either.
I agree. Like, this movie is easy to rip apart, but it serves a purpose. It's a summer blockbuster. Yeah. And it's an easy watch. It's a really easy watch. It's a really great middle-of-the-road Jurassic Park movie.
Yes.
And there's going to be more, I'm sure. Universal has always had really good success with this franchise, and they're going to continue to do it.
I'm very curious to know if they are going to tie in, like, whatever, you know, they got the DNA from the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they're making a drug that's going to be open source for everyone. So, like, if this is, like, a reboot of a franchise, I really hope that they incorporate that part, because it was such a huge plot line of the movie, right? And so I would like to see them incorporate that into whatever the next movie is going to be.
I hope the drug turns people into dinosaurs.
I like that.
And then the Fast family shows up because it's Universal, right? So you could have like Dominic Toretto versus human velociraptors.
Or the drug causes men to give birth to dinosaurs. And Dom gives birth to a dinosaur that drives a car.
We did it. We wrote it. All right. Well, look at this. We've already talked for 40 minutes. We haven't even gotten into the main event here. Well, Aaron, let's talk about our next summer blockbuster that we both have seen. Let's talk about 2025, James Gunn's Superman.
Yes.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Okay. Initial reaction, Dan. What was it?
My initial reaction, very mixed.
Okay.
Surprisingly, very, very mixed. Very torn in this movie. How about you?
You know what? I was watching it and I was thinking this might be my favorite live action version of Superman. And I think this, like, don't get me wrong, I think the Christopher Reeve Supermans, like, they were a big deal at the time. You go back and watch those movies now and you're kind of like, okay, like, they're all right.
Yeah.
But as far as like Superman Returns, like obviously that was a terrible movie. I think everybody knows that. And then what's his name? Zack Snyder, his Batman movies. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Henry Cavill was like an awesome Superman.
Yeah.
But the way that he was written never really felt like Superman to me.
Yeah.
But this movie, for some reason, and I think that this is also the best iteration of Lex Luthor as well.
Oh, interesting.
This felt like it was like a continuation of the Warner Brothers Superman cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it just felt like that cartoon ended and then this movie kind of came out.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of the show, Cody. I was talking to him a bit about this, and he said it very much felt like an episode of the cartoon and was very much like right out of the Silver Age of comics.
Yes.
So he loved it, right? So from that perspective, and Cody knows more about comic books than anybody I've ever met. So he loved it. Yeah, very fair. I struggled with this film's tone, and I kind of thought I would. I really wasn't sure what to expect. And this is two things about this movie. This is unapologetically a James Gunn film through and through. All of his best and all of his worst habits are on display in this film, in my opinion. And the other thing is this is unapologetically a comic book movie.
Yes.
Like, it's bright, it's fun, it's packed with different characters, much like a comic book would be. It's a little bit silly, and it's a page turner. Like, if you were reading this as a comic, you would burn through it. And after watching this, I rewatched Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, which turns out was actually a bit of a chore to do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And the thing that strikes me is the Zack Snyder films, especially Man of Steel specifically, is very much a Superman film. It's very much about Superman and Kryptonians, Kryptonian culture, and what it means to be a child of two worlds kind of thing. Whereas this movie, James Gunn has kind of done the impossible here, because not only did he have to reestablish Superman, but he had to establish a new DC universe.
Yes.
And the thing that's interesting, Man of Steel, it doesn't introduce a whole bunch of characters. It doesn't introduce any secondary characters. It's Superman, it's Zod, it's Lois Lane, and that's it. Like, no tertiary characters, no universe developing. They're not talking about, like, I think they mentioned Gotham, but they're not talking about all these different characters that would be filling this universe. What James Gunn does is he blows the doors off and says, sets the tone from the opening scene.
I love that. I personally loved it.
He's like, metahumans have been here forever. They're everywhere. And this one is called Superman. And so James Gunn seemed less interested in making a Superman movie and more interested in making a Justice Gang movie that has Superman in it.
Yeah.
And as weird as that kind of was for me tonally, I think that this movie exceeded expectations and succeeded in a lot of amazing ways just by kickstarting this universe.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Yeah, no, I agree. When I sat down to watch this movie, like, number one, what I'm thinking is, how many iterations of Superman did we get? And, you know, Dan, you and I had talked about this movie. This movie is probably one of the most anticipated movies of the year for me, not because I'm like a hardcore Superman fan. Like, don't get me wrong, I am a bigger DC fan than I am Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was just like very, very curious of how are they going to do this? How are they going to reboot this franchise? Yeah. Like, so many things are riding on this being a giant success, whether James Gunn is going to be able to make his universe and all of this stuff. And so I was like very looking forward to. So I think that, like, going into this movie, I was probably more critical of this movie than any other movie that has come out this year. Way more critical than anything that like Disney or Marvel has pumped out, right?
Oh yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the day, I was pleasantly surprised. So sorry, to answer your question there, like, yeah, just that first sentence of the movie, like, I'm so happy we didn't have to sit there and we didn't have to get an origin story about where Superman came from and stuff. It was just kind of like this, and this is going. And like, it just did such a good job of like establishing a world and everything in it and the characters in it, and then building on that. The thing about this movie is, like, I liked the fact that they didn't get into like Zod and all that stuff, because, like, again, Zod has been overdone. Yeah. Like, hardcore overdone.
Yeah, I'm sick of Zod.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I'm glad that we didn't get that. I'm glad we didn't have to start from the beginning where it's like, oh, like a new alien comes to Earth. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think my biggest complaint, though, of this whole entire movie, and it's such probably a small one, is that I just don't think I was a fan of his parents in this movie.
It was a weird choice, wasn't it?
It was a little bit of a weird choice.
They felt so wrong to me.
Yeah, and I think that was the only thing where Jonathan Kent, in all the iterations of Superman, is always like such a supportive figure, but like, not only that, literally teaches Superman like how to be a man, how to act like a man, how to do all this stuff. Yeah, like he's a big deal. And don't get me wrong, we got a little bit of that, of him giving some like solid advice to Superman, but overall, they weren't believable. They like, and I don't know if it was because of their accents. Yeah. Also, I apologize to anyone if you have like a Southern accent like them. I'm not trying to rip on you, but for some reason, it kind of took me out a little bit, because I'm like, why doesn't Superman have an accent? Right?
Yeah,
like, if
right?
he's raised by these two people his entire life, like, he's gonna have an accent. And not because of their accents, they just generally seemed like a little too simple.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
You know, like, too simple, because like Jonathan and Martha Kent are like a little bit like, they're big deals in Superman's life, right? They basically raise him to become this, like, I don't want to say perfect, but like a little bit less than perfect, like, person, right? Like, he has to conduct himself in a certain way because he's got a lot of eyes on him, right? And so it's always established that his parents knew that, and they were always on his case for like kind of helping him grow into the right person.
Yeah.
However, that was probably my biggest bone to pick, but overall I thought it was good. Yeah, sorry. So like, Lex Luthor, what did you think of him? Did you hate him? Did you love him?
I didn't like him that much. Okay. No. My favorite Lex Luthor is Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville.
That doesn't count.
Oh, it totally counts. Are you kidding me? 10 seasons? That's a lot of Lex Luthor.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. He was a good Lex Luthor, but I don't think he was like so menacing enough, though.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe it's been a while.
I think he was the most menacing Lex.
I tried to be your friend, Lex. But all you care about is power and control.
This is Smallville! Meteor freaks, alien ships, cryptic symbols. These threats are real. Someone had to take control. Someone has to protect the world.
Listen to yourself, Lex. You're so caught up in your own delusions, you've lost track of reality.
Have I? Then let's talk about something you can't deny. After years of pleading with my father to show me some compassion, he turned to you with open arms. Now, what would a worldly billionaire have in common with a simple farm boy?
Maybe he just knew he could trust me.
Of course. Everyone can trust Clark Kent. You're the perfect son. So why did Jonathan Kent always seem so stressed? I mean, was raising the perfect son really that much work? I wonder how much of a strain it put on his heart.
I just think he did a fantastic job. He actually has a voice cameo in this movie. I found out. He voices one of the, what are they called? One of the bad guys. Anyway, he voices a bad guy.
Okay,
but yeah, he's far and away my favorite Lex Luthor because he had the gravitas and the edginess. He just felt intelligent to me in a way that, I don't know, like, I love Nicholas Hoult. I think he's a fantastic actor, but he kind of just came across as like a whiny bitch in this movie.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't clear to me why he hated Superman so much, which I feel like should be super clear. And Lex Luthor's motivations for hating Clark Kent and Superman in Smallville are, they have 10 seasons to flesh that out, right? But in this movie, there were so many moving parts in this movie that it felt less focused on like those kind of details and more focused on just introducing as much stuff as it could before the credits roll. What did you think of Lex?
Well, I personally liked him. Like I said, going back to the Warner Brothers cartoon that they had out, like the Lex Luthor that was in that cartoon, like I think this is the closest to that Lex Luthor. Because, like, number one, I feel like in all the other iterations of Lex Luthor, like Lex Luthor is a genius, but it never really comes to light in all the other ones. Like I don't even think in the Michael Rosenbaum, is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't think his is like nearly as intelligent as this one. And so right off the bat, I was like super pumped to see a very intelligent Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
The second thing is it's like not only was he super intelligent, but he was like just a thorn in Superman's side the entire movie, right?
Yeah.
Like he was like a couple steps ahead of him, coming up with plans and, kind of like foiling Superman and like really pushing Superman to become better and get better at like saving people. And so not only that, but like like I said, it just seemed the closest to the Superman cartoon, like that Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
When I think Lex Luthor, that's the Lex Luthor I always think of. And I think that's why I really ended up liking this one, because I thought he was like very, very close. He was would stop at nothing to get his way. And that's how Lex Luthor kind of is. Like he will murder people. He will throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
He will scheme. He will do whatever it takes to get his way. And you could really see that in this movie. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It was just wild. Like Superman's been active for 3 years in this movie, and Lex has already cloned him.
Yeah, well,
like,
but I mean that is like I mean that was one of the original plots in like the other old Christopher Reeves Supermans, and then like so I'm not opposed to that. And it's been done so many times. Like there was like Super Lad or Super Boy or whatever they're calling him, which was like in the cartoons he's like a clone of him, but not evil. There's Bizarro. So there's so many different like I think Bizarro originally is supposed to be like the Lex Luthor clone that he makes, or in the cartoon, anyways. So like I said, I wasn't opposed. And the thing about this movie, I was talking to my friend Tyler about this because we saw it together, and I was kind of like, you have to be an established like Superman DC fan already in order to like really appreciate this. Because if you're going into this movie and you don't really know anything about Superman or DC, which, us older people, we know a fair bit about it, but I would say like the younger generation maybe don't know too much. And if you're kind of don't know too much and you go see this movie, there is a lot thrown at you. But if you are if you are a fan and you know the comics, you know the content, you know the characters and everything, this movie is like terrific.
James Gunn relies a lot on the iconic nature of this character, and he doesn't belittle the audience by retelling or re-explaining things that we can probably already infer ourselves. We don't see Lois and Clark meeting. We just know that they're together because they're together. We don't see Lex seeing Superman for the first time because we know how that probably went. There's a lot of things that happened like before this movie starts, right? You're kind of dropped in the middle of a story, which I'm actually a really big fan of with superhero movies. I love that vibe of just being dropped into the action. In an established hero. We don't really get that. That being said, I do have a couple of major bones to pick with this movie that I want to talk to you about. The first one, and this is really made apparent when you watch Man of Steel, because in Man of Steel, there's such a reverence paid to the character and like his costume and the way he's shot. I know that Zack Snyder was going for more of like a mythic gods style feel to his universe, but there was such a reverence paid to Superman every time he was on screen. The way he's posed, the way he looks, that suit is just immaculate and shiny and ridiculous and all those things, right? And he's just so jacked. Then you go to James Gunn's Superman and he's kind of shown in like more of a silly light where he's got like a dog nipping at his heels and you know, we're seeing him in the suit, but he's doing goofy maneuvers to get away from this dog, or he gets beat up like 5 times, or there's kind of like a majestic nature to Superman, you know, because he is truly kind of like a god among men. But James Gunn, he always seems more attracted to the silly side of things, like the goofy, goobery side of things. Like if there's a weird hero to focus on, he's going to focus on that weird hero, right? If there's a silly thing to draw out of a scene, he's going to find it and he's going to focus on it. So I just felt like Superman didn't get to be iconic and cool until like the very end of the film, where he's finally powered up and laser blasting people and spinning around and stuff. So a little bit of that reverence was lost to me. And I think that's just James Gunn's style of filmmaking. That bugged me. And the second thing that bugged me, which I want to get your opinion on, is the music. I thought the music in this movie was terrible. I loved the Man of Steel music, so much to the point where I literally, like, on my, like, YouTube channel, I covered the main theme on the guitar. Anyway, I loved the Man of Steel score. It was new, it was fresh, the drums, the percussion. And this movie completely relies on the original John Williams, Christopher Reeve score. Yeah. And I think that's a mistake. I think if you're starting a new DC universe, you can't just like keep the music. You got to do everything, the whole thing. It's new, it's fresh. The fact that the entire score like has nothing to say except for the John Williams beats was really frustrating to me. And I just thought it was lazy and kind of pandering. If they do a Batman movie, is it going to have the da-da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going with this? Because it just felt uninspired to me. And I just think like Man of Steel did not use the John Williams music once. It didn't have to. It did its own thing. And I just feel like this movie should have done its own thing too. What do you think of that?
Well, I'll start with the music first. I actually agree with you on the music, because just even like hearing you talk about it and then just me thinking back to the movie, I don't remember a single thing about the music. It was very unremarkable. Like I'm trying to sit here and think about like, oh, did I like the soundtrack? And yeah, no, like I cannot remember a single thing about the soundtrack. So I would agree with you, but I mean like, because it was Hans Zimmer, right, that did the soundtrack for Man of Steel?
It was Hans Zimmer combined with, he teamed up with that guy. What is he called? I can't remember his real name, but it's like Tom something.
Oh, okay.
Junkie XL, the guy who did all the percussion stuff for the Mad Max movie.
Okay, yeah. You know, he's legendary and he set the bar, right? And unfortunately, I don't think James Gunn, you know, he went for the more nostalgic route than he went for innovative, right? And you are right. It is definitely a mischance there. I would agree with you. But I want to go back to just what you were talking about, the Superman and just how he's kind of goofy. And I personally liked it because, in my opinion, that this is more Superman than what Man of Steel was. The biggest thing in Man of Steel that bothered me was the fact that he killed Zod at the end. Because, like, one of the biggest tropes of Superman throughout the entire, like, all the comics, all the cartoons, everything is that he does not kill.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that, like, I never liked about the Zack Snyder ones. And what I like about this James Gunn one is that it puts him, rather than, like you were saying, like a god among men, it just puts him as like a man who has superpowers. And that is very much Superman, because he was raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent, you know, two country bumpkins. And at the end of the day, he is like very much more human than he is Kryptonian, right?
Right.
And the thing with the Zack Snyder movies is that they painted him more of a god than a human. And so that's, in my opinion, that's why I say is probably one of my favorite versions of Superman.
Yeah.
Because I just think that they really captured the essence of Superman, where he is a little bit goofy. He is a little bit, I don't want to say like dumb, but he's not dumb, but he just makes like corny one-liners or whatever. Like everyone's like, usually the way that he's presented is that he's kind of like deadpan, and then we'll say like a one-liner, right? And it kind of translated a little bit well. So that's kind of where I come back and kind of defend his suit, and also I defend his suit in the sense like it's nowhere near, and like also he has nowhere near the physique that Henry Cavill had.
No.
When I first originally heard Henry Cavill was going to be Superman, I was like, he is Superman.
Yeah.
It was such a good casting. Unfortunately, it was a terribly written character.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's anything against Henry Cavill. I think it's more of the writers and the director. But in this version, I think they hit it. Like it hit the nail on the head here. But you know, also this is just one movie. Again, I'm very curious to know where it's going to go from this point. Can they build off of this?
Yeah.
Can they make it successful? I don't know. Only time will tell.
Well, there's so much more I could say about it. Like, I remember I went to, I did a Warner Brothers studio tour back in like 2018, and they had all of the suits for the Justice League in this big room, like the actual screen-worn suits. And seeing Cavill's suit in real life and seeing the way the light hits it, and, you know, the muscles are kind of like painted on, but when you have his physique in it, it was funny. The tour guide joked with me, and he's like, the way this suit's constructed is basically anybody could wear it and look ripped in it because of all like the forming, the form of it and everything. But those costumes in real life, there's something about them that are so iconic and just breathtaking. It's kind of crazy. You get this weird feeling when you look at it where you're like, wow, that's what Superman would wear. But I think this movie almost says more about what baggage you have about the Superman character when you go in to watch it. Because Superman is it's a universal character, but there's also not too much to him. So it's almost like everyone has their own idea of what Superman is, what he looks like. And so when you come in to watch this new version of him, it almost says more about you than it does about the character on screen as to like what you think. Yeah, but kudos to James Gunn for avoiding all of like the religious like Christ symbology imagery that Zack Snyder beat us over the head with. I like that Superman was very keenly aware of human life and animal life, and wasn't just trying to explode buildings and cause a ton of collateral damage. It was refreshing and fun. But and back to that soundtrack, I was just thinking while you were talking that James Gunn is definitely more of a soundtrack guy and less of a score guy. Like all of his movies typically have great soundtracks but very unremarkable scores, and I just don't think he thinks about I think he thinks about music in terms of songs, not in terms of movie scores. So
That'd
I
be
think
interesting. Yeah,
I would be really curious what a sequel to this would look like if it was directed by a different director. So, but I recommend it. What do you think?
I would recommend it. I definitely think, in this day and age of, what I will say is like this day and age, it's kind of weird because I feel like we've gone full circle now, where now I watch this movie and I go, I kind of like how comic booky it is. And before, it used to be like, I don't want to see comic booky. I want to see like something that makes me feel like this could be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I mean is like, I think with the oversaturation of superhero movies, and not only that, but just the way that the Marvel movies went, where it's like they're on Earth and like the same Earth we're on. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly that, but it kind of makes it feel like it's plausible. This movie, to me, didn't really feel like it could happen on like our planet, and which I really liked about it for some reason. I really liked that it was actually just kind of like a comic book movie.
You know, it's one of the thoughts I had while watching this.
What's that?
So everyone in this movie lives in a reality where metahumans exist and are a real thing.
Yeah.
And I kept wondering, like, how many times has a major city like Metropolis been ripped in half by some sort of rift?
Yeah.
Like, what is the insurance policy like for a resident of Gotham or Metropolis? You know, like, if this is the universe that everyone is used to living in, why does anybody live in any of these major areas? Because watching it, I was like, man, people don't seem like really surprised or shocked that any of this is happening to their city. And then I was like, actually, that actually makes sense in universe, because stuff like this would be happening all the time. There's even the scene where Lois and Clark are talking, and outside there's like some sort of interdimensional imp that the Justice Gang is just taking care of. It's a really funny scene. You know, Green Lantern is hitting it with a baseball bat or something. Yeah. But that's the reality that these people live in. Yeah. It was hard for me to actually get my head around that, of like, this is people's reality. Like, people live in Metropolis knowing that at any point in time, their apartment might get ripped in half and put back together again in a single afternoon.
But you know what I would argue is that could be in any superhero movie.
It's true, but this one specifically sets out to establish that metahumans are as common as police officers, you know?
But like, think about Marvel though, you know, like in New York or whatever. How many times have they been in New York? Even this last, what was it called? The Thunderbolts or whatever. That movie came out. That was in New York as well. And you know what I mean? And it's like, there's multiple big events that happen in New York City, and it's like, people are still living there.
But the difference between this and the MCU is that this very specifically states that this has been going on for like 3 centuries. Whereas in the Marvel universe, it feels like it's only been about 10 or 12 or 15 years or whatever, where like Iron Man started everything and then all these other heroes just kind of popped up. It's not like this is it's a relatively new thing in the MCU, which is a weird choice in and of itself. Like, no one knows Wakanda exists. No one knows any of this stuff. No one knows that there's aliens out there with Infinity Stones and stuff. So the big difference in these universes is that on one side of the fence, you're going to have a populace that is very much used to people in capes and stuff. You know, like the way they talk to the Justice Gang, it's not like they're surprised to see them. They're kind of just like, hey, yeah, another day in the life of the Justice Gang. Whereas in the MCU, it's like people would be seriously moving out of New York City by now because they wouldn't be used to this kind of mayhem on a weekly basis.
Or the Death Star and how many billions of people died in that. It's like, why are you living in the Death Star?
Totally. Like, none of this is important to the stories these movies are telling, but it does catch my attention, especially...
This is where I go back to saying, like, does a movie have a bunch of, like, continuity things that, like, take you out of it? And so I guess this is one thing that kind of took you out of the movie.
It really did. It really did. I just kept thinking the insurmountable amount of threats facing just Metropolis alone, let alone the rest of the world. You know, there's human threats, but then there's also metahumans. There's any number of things that can pop in and out and cause havoc. You know, and people like Lex Luthor just releasing kaijus in an afternoon, right? Like, what? That's just the reality?
They live in a world where insurance companies don't rip them off. Maybe that's the difference. So, like, their insurance companies are at, like, the real superheroes.
Yeah. I mean,
where they're like, oh, your house got, like, demolished? Let us help you rebuild.
I don't want to be that guy, but I would like a little bit of an explanation to this. I really would, because it's going to get hairy. The DC universe is going to get crazy. And we already have a Metropolis that's been ripped down the seam like a zipper and put back together again. I don't need a bunch of like boring ramifications, but I would kind of like to know like what the vibe is for the people on the ground, you know? I'm always interested in like the regular everyday person dealing with like gods and monsters flying overhead. What is that like?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, boss, I was late for work. A giant kaiju ate my car, and then Superman like, is that a thing? I don't know.
Maybe in the next one.
Maybe
the Hollywood bigwigs are listening, and they're gonna do it something in the next one to address these issues.
This movie, I think, as much as things didn't work for me, I think it lays the groundwork for the DC universe terrifically, and I'm legitimately excited. I haven't been this excited for superhero movies in quite some time.
Yeah.
Aaron, but that being said, as we wrap up our discussion here, I wanted to ask you, because in just like a week or two, Fantastic Four is coming out.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I just can't seem to find any enthusiasm for it. I just don't feel like I care very much.
I am just, like everyone else in this world, just a huge Pedro Pascal fanboy. So that's pretty much all I'm going on. I could care less, like, just the tone of the movie from all the trailers that I've seen so far kind of looks pretty meh to me.
Yeah, it looks meh.
But like I said, I am a big Pedro Pascal fan. I just have been watching The Last of Us. I'm just working my way through season 2 now, so don't tell me any spoilers.
I won't.
But like, I love that he was in Game of Thrones. He's been in so many Mandalorian, like everything. The dude's literally in everything.
Yeah.
But like, he's in everything and he still manages to do a good job of the actor. Like, you're not thinking, oh, that's Pedro Pascal. You're thinking like, oh, he is whoever the character he is playing, right?
If we're talking spices, he's like Mrs. Dash in the 90s.
yeah, pretty much. And that's what I mean is like, it's kind of crazy to think that he has enough charisma and I think that's part of the reason why they got him as Reed Richards, right? Because it was, they were in Fantastic Four wasn't doing so hot.
Yeah.
There was a big push to get it right from the very beginning, and they had, I think, like multiple actors that were potentially slated to play it, and then eventually he got the role. And that's just a testament to his acting, right? That like he can pretty much carry a franchise, right? So in that sense, I think I'm just excited to see what he kind of brings to the table and how he portrays this character. And not only that, but like we get to see him in a superhero movie, which is like pretty cool.
Life is good, but it can be better.
But other than that, I can't say that I'm like terribly excited for this movie. Like, I'm curious. I'm curious to know where it's going to go, especially with the spoiler that we got at, what was it, the end of Thunderbolts, I believe?
Yeah, which is huge.
Don't spoil it. Do not spoil it. What's going on?
So I'm curious to know how those two are going to tie together. But like, as far as the actual movie goes, I don't think I'm really that excited for it.
I think we're going to see a very strong reaction to this movie because the comparison, now that DC has launched its new universe and people love the Superman movie, the comparisons are going to be loud and clear. And I actually feel like the success of Superman honestly might be putting Marvel in big trouble, more than they think right now, because I was talking with Cody about this too. If Superman outperforms Fantastic Four, you're going to end up with a reality where people are more excited about Supergirl, or they're more excited about the Clayface movie than they are about Avengers Doomsday. And I feel like that's a reality Marvel's going to have to face, that they might not be the big dog on the block anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's just because the last 5 years have just been hot chaff. I don't know if Marvel's ready for the repercussions. Like, if Fantastic Four isn't an absolute gem of a movie, they're in big trouble, because at this point, I'd rather see a Mr. Terrific movie than Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's
Mr. Terrific was pretty awesome. He was a good character in that Superman. Hey,
I thought he was great, and I didn't know anything about him going into it, but like I thought he was fantastic. But that's where we're at now. Is like you got this fresh. It's like that meme of the guy with his girlfriend looking back at the other girl, right? Yeah, fandom holding hands with Marvel, but looking back and going, "Ooh," at this new DC universe.
Yeah,
and so I think this conversation is going to look really. It's going to look a lot different in a month, for sure. It's going to be really interesting. So
for sure.
We'll have to revisit this, Aaron. If Fantastic Four isn't a critical and box office smash, I think Marvel is basically, like you said, remember you asked, like, when does this end? Is Marvel just going to keep making movies till we all die? Mm-hmm. Maybe DC is really the dark horse, right? No pun intended. That's coming to, force them into a reboot. Yeah. Who knows?
I really hope that they don't just go straight into a reboot and they just kind of just don't make anything for a few years.
Yeah.
Go on like a 5-year hiatus.
Give Kevin Feige a big long vacation, get some new leadership.
Yeah.
Find a James Gunn equivalent and try it again or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
I don't know.
All I know
we'll
is,
see.
We'll see, right? So anyway, as we put this shape-shifting baby back into the pocket universe.
Yes.
Aaron.
Get that baby out of here.
You know what I realized? I never did that in our junior episode. I never did the old train thing. Wow.
I mean, it's
Should we announce our next movie?
Let's put this baby back in the womb.
As we put
this, say something along the lines.
As we put this baby back into the abdomen.
Yes. Just as Danny DeVito injected an egg into the abdomen, I don't know. Anyways.
Should we announce our next film?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We are going to be defending
Lost in Space. Not to be confused with the Netflix show Lost in Space, the 1998 movie Lost in Space. And I think we got Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
What's that other guy's name?
Is that the
Gary
movie
Oldman?
Is that the movie where he has the cool helmet that like comes over his head?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm excited for this
one.
one.
It's been years since I seen it, so I'm pretty pumped for this.
Yeah, Lost in Space. There's a lot of history there, so I'm excited to get into that.
Apparently Jake Johnson is in this movie. Didn't know that.
I'm just excited to talk about Robbie the Robot because he's like a pop icon.
Yes, it is going to be a very exciting movie to review.
Awesome. Well, look for that. I hope you enjoyed Junior. I hope you enjoyed this Jury Duty episode. Again, all our social media links are in the show notes attached to the episode. We're now on YouTube, so you can stream us wherever you go. And thanks to all our international listeners. We really appreciate you. And we will see you on the next episode of In Defense of a Movie Podcast.
Bye.